Hi everyone. Let's talk about one of the most neglected parts of speech today. I'm calling it the neglected part of speech just because it is always associated with another part of speech which is of great importance. Yes, I'm talking about pronouns. Yes, pronouns. Well, we start making mistake from the very pronunciation of the word. Most of the people call it pronoun, but the actual pronunciation of the word is pronoun. Yes, it is pronoun. Well, pronouns are not as simple as we think. Pronouns are not as boring as we think. Just because we have been teaching our students and we have learned from our teachers that pronouns are just the replacement of nouns, where we have given the examples, we have got the examples, simple ones like Ram went to the forest. He was accompanied by his wife and brother. So he is Ram here. So instead of using the word Ram, we use the word he. We have used such examples and we have made students understand, which is correct at the beginning stages. But there is more to understand about pronouns, and as I said, pronouns are not as simple as we think. So there are chances that we make mistakes in using pronouns in our writing and speaking. Today, I'm not going to teach all the types of pronouns, but I'm going to touch on one common mistakes that most of us do, that is ambiguous pronouns. Let's understand what are ambiguous pronouns. Before we dive into ambiguous pronouns, for those who have forgotten what are pronouns or who need just a brush up, I would just like to speak something about them. Assume that I have a friend by name Veera Venkata Satyanarayana Swami. I want to talk about him. Veera Venkata Satyanarayana Swami was my friend during school days. Veera Venkata Satyanarayana Swami was a great artist. Veera Venkata Satyanarayana Swami received so many prizes during school days. How does it sound? Let's take another example. Abul Pakir Jainuddin Abdul Kalam was one of the greatest presidents of India. Abul Pakir Jainuddin Abdul Kalam was called the Missile Man of India. Abul Pakir Jainuddin Abdul Kalam has written his autobiography named Wings of Fire. So, what do we understand from that? Sometimes using the longer names repeatedly make it very tedious. In order to avoid them, we have something called as small replacements called pronouns. That was the basic idea behind inventing pronouns in the language. So instead of making such long names, instead of Veera Venkata Satyanarayana Swami and Abul Pakir Jainuddin Abdul Kalam, we can just call them as he in our second sentences. Veera Venkata Satyanarayana Swami was my friend. He was a great artist and he won many prizes during our school days. So, the replacement for the nouns are called as pronouns. We have many types of pronouns which will take a very long time to understand, but in this video I am not going to explain all the pronouns. I am just going to explain something called as ambiguous pronouns. So I guess you got an idea. You just recalled what are pronouns. Well, after quickly recapping what the pronouns are, let's move on to ambiguous pronouns. Just a minute. Before we actually again move on to ambiguous pronouns, I just want to talk about something called as antecedents. Okay. Antecedent is from the Latin words again. So you can just take it for granted that whenever we come across some difficult words, they must be either from Latin, Greek, and so on. Now the word ante, it's not anti, A-N-T-I, it is A-N-T-E. Ante means before. Something comes before is called as ante in Latin. And sedent is taken from the word sedere, which means something that comes. Well, antecedent is something that comes before other is called as antecedent here. In our noun pronoun relationship also, noun is always the antecedent. Well, now if you take a very simple example like Rahul is a great cricketer, he has scored many centuries. Rahul is a great cricketer, he has scored many centuries. So these are the two sentences here. The word Rahul is called as antecedent and the word he is referring to Rahul. So he is a pronoun and Rahul is a noun and Rahul is a antecedent here. So the word he is referring to the antecedent called Rahul here. Now we are all set to understand what are ambiguous pronouns. Well, look at an example here. Rahul and Virat have made a great partnership. They are great batsmen. So there are two sentences. Rahul and Virat have made a great partnership. They are great batsmen. Here in the first sentence, Rahul and Virat are two nouns, and in the second sentence, they is a pronoun which is referring to both of them. So they is a pronoun which is referring to both Rahul and Virat. Now there is no confusion about this. That is, as we cannot use Rahul and Virat again in the second sentence, instead of saying Rahul and Virat have made a great partnership, Rahul and Virat are great batsmen, instead of saying that, we have replaced Rahul and Virat with only one pronoun called they in the second sentence. Now this story sounds good. There is no ambiguity, there is no confusion. By the way, the word ambiguity means confusion. There is no confusion about it. Let's focus on something called as antecedents. Antecedent is usually a noun. For example, Rahul and Virat have made a great partnership. He is a very stylish batsman. Now, when we say Rahul and Virat are have made a great partnership, he is a very stylish batsman. Now, what does he refer to? Does he refer to Rahul or does he refer to Virat? So, in such cases, it becomes very difficult to judge whether he is referring to that or this. Then, this is one. This is what is called as ambiguous pronouns. Most of the time, such simple mistakes are not done, but still there are chances. Look at some other examples. That is, Rakesh and his brother went for shopping and he bought all that he wanted. Rahul and his brother went for shopping and he brought all that he wanted. And he brought means whether it is Rakesh brought all that he wanted or whether it is his brother who brought all that he wanted. So to resolve this kind of ambiguity, we need to use pronouns in a proper way here. Okay, fine. How do we do this? Let's see. Well, when we look at the first sentence, we can clearly make the sentence appropriate by replacing the pronoun with a noun. I'll just come to the point. Rahul and Virat have made a great partnership. Rahul and Virat have made a great partnership. Rahul is a stylish batsman. In the second sentence, instead of using he, directly use the word Rahul, whom you wanted to speak about. Rahul is a stylish batsman. So instead of saying he, which will become an ambiguous pronoun, which will lead to a confusion whether it is referring to Rahul or Virat, instead of that, you can clearly specify whom you are referring to. So Rahul is a stylish batsman. That is the way you can do it. So the first method of correcting an ambiguous pronoun is to directly mention the noun in the proper place. Number 2, Rakesh and his brother went for shopping and he brought all he wanted. Now in this case again there is an ambiguity whether he is referring to Rakesh or his brother. So in such case the first method can again be applied. That is, you can say Rakesh and his brother went for shopping and Rakesh brought all he wanted. So you can specify in the second sentence who the word he is referring to. Or there is another way of correcting the mistake in the second case, that is by rephrasing the sentence. So you must be able to rephrase the sentence by saying something like this. Rakesh wanted to buy everything that he wanted and he did it when he went with his brother for shopping. So you can make some alternative statement which will clarify things like this. We can make many sentences like this which can clearly specify whom you are referring to. Rakesh bought everything that he wanted when he went for shopping with his brother. Anything like that. So make sure whenever you, especially ambiguous pronouns occur when you write something, because when we are speaking we have certain intonation, we have some stress that we apply, which will make the listener understand whom we are referring to without any confusion. But especially when we write, there are chances, as we do not have any chance, any possibility of making stress. There are chances that the reader may get confused. To avoid such confusions, make sure that your pronoun is not referring to multiple antecedents and it doesn't create confusions. So, to avoid such confusions, employ either one of these two techniques. One, either you can replace the pronoun with actual noun. Two, you can rephrase a sentence in such a way that it avoids the confusions. The second type of mistake that we do while writing is called as implied reference. Implied reference is the second type of mistake that we do with pronouns. What is implied? In simple words, the word implied means something that is understood, that is taken for granted, that is understood by default. Now, when look at the sentence something like this, that is, after machine wash, she put them for drying. After machine wash, she put them for drying. Here the word them is a pronoun, and if there is a pronoun, there must be a noun before that. Every pronoun must refer to a noun. So where is a noun in this sentence? So the pronoun is not referring to any noun in the sentence. So this becomes a mistake. To come out of this mistake, even though we understand that it is by default it is understood that machine wash is washing clothes using washing machine. So here the sentence is trying to say that after washing the clothes in the washing machine, she is putting the clothes for drying. But here that should be put properly in a sentence and it should be grammatically correct. We cannot use pronouns without referring them to any nouns here. So to make this correction, we have to either correct the sentence, rephrase the sentence as, after washing the clothes in the machine, she put them for drying. After washing the clothes is used already in the first part of the sentence, which is a noun, which is an antecedent, and to that we are connecting the word them, which is a pronoun, and that refers to that. After washing the clothes in the machine, she put them for drying. Them can be used here legally. Or the sentence can be rephrased in another way, in a simple way, saying, after machine wash, she put clothes for drying. Instead of using the word them and using a noun before that, we can directly replace the word them with a noun. After machine wash, she put clothes for drying. So this is how we cannot take implied reference in our sentences. We cannot use them in writing. We must always make sure that there is a noun used and there is a noun connected to a pronoun in a sentence. And the third type of reference is called as vague reference. What are vague references? When we generally present our ideas, our thoughts, our feelings in a very lengthy manner, there are chances that we use pronouns with something in our mind, but we do not actually refer them or we do not actually specify them or connect them to some nouns in the sentence. For example, something like a child smiles, plays, litters around, and makes everything dirty in the house. We should enjoy it. Now, here in this entire paragraph, we have the word it as a pronoun. What is it referring to? So, is it referring to child? Is it referring to something else? We have no idea. We have just used the word it in our sentence. Although when we are speaking, it certainly makes sense and no one questions it. No one asks what is it, what does it refer to. But when we are writing it, especially in formal writing, okay, not in fictions, but usually in non-fiction, we should make sure that every pronoun should have a reference of noun here. So instead of all this, we have explained so many things. A child smiles, plays, litters around, and makes everything around dirty. We should just enjoy it. We should just enjoy it. So what is it? So here it can be replaced with something like child's play. Something like that. The child smiles, child litters around, child makes everything dirty. We should just enjoy child's play. So whenever we have something called as vague pronouns, vague references which do not specifically point to something in the sentence, we should be very clear when we are writing in the informal writing that, sorry, in the formal writing, that we should make it very clear that the pronouns like it should be replaced with a proper nouns like this. Well, that's all about ambiguous pronouns. They occur either because we have too many antecedents, which is called as ambiguous reference. They occur just because we understand something and take it for granted. We call them as implied reference. And they occur just because we have some vague references. We have something in mind and we just use some pronouns without properly connecting them, or without properly having any pronoun in the first place. To avoid all this, just make sure that you reread the sentence when you write, and make sure that your pronoun is properly referring to a noun before. That's all about ambiguous pronouns. Hope this video helps, and hope we never do mistake with pronouns again.